Hello, everybody. Today I want to talk about some of the emotions, and today's emotion that I want to talk about energetically is anxiety. Every emotion that we have sits in the aura like an energy. Therefore, we can actually release that energy. There are things we can do, like medications and some other works. For example, exercise will actually shake it out, and healing, of course. But I'm just talking about what you can do. Firstly, I'd like to say that if you get anxiety, you know exactly how bad it can be. It can be quite debilitating and very hard to control. It comes, it goes. Sometimes you can have it all the time. And right now in the world, there's a lot of anxiety. People have become very anxious because of COVID. And then on top of that, now we've got this world problem with Europe, and that has made people anxious as well. So not only are we dealing with our little world of anxiety, there's actually a world of other anxiety that we will be absorbing. And I want you to realize that you will be absorbing a lot of anxiety when you go out, and other people's anxiety, to be aware of that. So if your friend's very anxious and you go and visit her and have a coffee, you might come home and be even more anxious. I've had that happen. Anxiety sits in various places in the body, in the aura. So when you're releasing, it's actually very good to know where they are, and I've been tracking them for a while. The most important ones to realize are the chakras and the layers. So we have the seven chakras. I think there's personally eight, because I think the navel is also a chakra. And when we're letting it go, we'll find that that's where a lot of the anxiety will be holding in those chakras. We can hold them in all the chakras. I want you to be aware of that. If you've got very bad anxiety and you're doing release work, you want to let them go out of every single one. However, mostly anxiety is held in the solar plexus, is where your stomach is. And anxiety can be held in the solar plexus and in our throat, and then in our crown. I found they were the major ones for people. So when you're trying to let it go, you try and let it go. When you're doing the tapping, tap on those places. When you're doing hypnosis or meditation, or however you're trying to release or healing, they will be your three places that will be the most prevalent for you. I found that using the pendulum, you can also release it in those places. If you can put your pendulum literally on your body and let it release when you're very, very bad. Anxiety is crippling if you have it, and it can stop you from really living your life to the full. Usually it's caused by some kind of trauma. Some abuse will actually linger sometimes and continue to trigger your anxiety. You can also be prone to it because of your genetics. If you've got a situation where your mum or dad was anxious, or people in those running down both those lines were anxious, then you can actually have picked it up genetically and been more vulnerable. The other places I've found anxiety are in the layers. Now there are 7 layers that go out from the body to the edge of the aura. And the one that I found the most anxiety is in the emotional layer. It's just it's quite a few centimetres out. So you have an emotional layer out there, and you've also got an astral layer, and then the mental layer, there's 7. But these 3 are the ones I'm talking about. And you'll find it's often in the emotional layer there. So that's another place. So when you're letting it go, you want to let it go from the emotional layer or from the astral body. Sometimes we'll have a feeling around it, we'll know where it's sitting, and then it's easier to actually go there and let it go. The reason it's important to know where the places are is because it's going to make your release work much better. Because instead of doing just a general release of all the anxiety, you're going to the actual places. If you're skilled at using a pendulum, you can check how much anxiety you have in the different ones, and then after you've done the work, you can check how much it's gone down. You can also use kinesiology to ask how much. I usually do 1 to 10 and keep asking using the kinesiology until I get a read, or how much is in the emotional body, or say my solar plexus, and then after the release work, ask again. Your body is a good place to start when you're asking questions, because your body actually, with the muscle testing, will know. To help yourself along, use what works for you. There are various things for anxiety. Rescue Remedy is very good for a lot of people because it's high vibrational. And I use Nervotona. I use the calm one because it's homeopathic. Remember, we're talking energy here, so anything that's working on your energy body is good. Some people who make their own ormus, if they take it every day, they can find it starts to help with their anxiety. I've got a podcast on how to make your own ormus, and I think we've got another 2 weeks before it's full moon or something like that, so you can make it in the next full moon if you want to. The other things that are good are the teas. Passion flower tea is very well known for that. Some people use chamomile, valerian, hops is good, and lemon balm. These are all natural products you might want to try as well. You can use your pharmaceuticals. That's fine. You do whatever works for you. I'm just trying to give you some other options for it. There's also the possibility that you might want to go and get some acupuncture, because anxiety often lies in the pericardium channel. It's a channel that's linked with the triple burner. And you can Google all this. Now, the pericardium runs down from under your armpit, that channel, and it goes into your middle finger. So the big tall one, the middle finger. And if you hold that finger every day and at night, you will actually feed that channel, because there's a lot of anxiety normally in there. There are also 2 points, and the other one is that you might want to look at is the heart meridian. That's the baby finger, the little finger, and you can hold that one. When you hold them, it's really interesting because if they need more energy or you're doing work on them, they'll actually throb, or you'll get sensations as you're holding them. And then there's 2 points, and you can Google this too for anxiety. One is heart 7, and that's on the palm side of the hand, down on the wrist, just where the little finger, if you run the little finger down to the wrist, you'll find it there, and you can do that one. And there's also another one, which is the pericardium. I think it's 6, but double check for me. And it's in the middle of the wrist on the palm side down there, and I'll show you where that, and you can massage those 2 places. They're really good for anxiety. Anxiety is something that if you've had it, I have it, you'll know what we're talking about. People who don't have anxiety, I think, are quite blessed, because it's terrible, really. I don't like having it, but I do use all the modalities that I can to bring it down, pull it down, and release it. And I'm always doing a little bit of work on, I use the tapping especially, to try and release the anxiety, and I use my pendulum to release it too in different parts. You will usually know where you have the anxiety because you can feel it. Many people have it in their solar plexus, so they'll feel that nausea and the stomach thing. Also in the throat, if you get anxious, your throat will close up or gag up, and you'll feel like being sick. That's why people in movies, when you see them throwing up, they see something terrible and the fear comes, and they will have that almost like a panic attack. And that's the other thing. If you can do some work on your anxiety, you will maybe be able to stop your panic attacks happening as much. And that's why I'm giving you all these modalities places that I've used to try and help you with it. It's something that we really don't talk about. People don't talk about it a lot, but a lot of people suffer from it. And if you can find some things, modalities and things you can take that will help you, I suggest you do that. There are also some essential oils that I want to talk about that you can use, which they go into the same range as the tea. So you can use the chamomile, and marjoram is very good because that actually settles the nervous system. And a lot of people use the use of valerian oil, or one of those stress or sleepy time ones, that make you calm. Lavender is also very good. And you can also burn oils in your house, or use the misting one, that misting oil one. And that also is good to do that. You take the smell in, or rub the oils on the bottom of your feet if you want to before you go to bed. I wish you luck with getting your anxiety down or getting rid of it. I know when I have it, But you can be aware that sometimes you've got so used to having it, you won't have the awareness when it's actually still there. You'll be feeling awful, but you haven't worked out what it is because you're so used to having anxiety. I think if you'd come from a difficult childhood, you would have had anxiety from the beginning, and it's something you're actually so used to having. It's only when it actually peaks and gets much worse that you really realise you've got it. I'm hoping you have some success with using all these different modalities. It's a thing that would be good to get emotion, the energy of that emotion, good to get rid of it. And it also is quite disruptive to the aura, that emotion, because things don't flow right, because it's a fear-based emotion, and fear is not good in the body. I'm hoping you have a calm week and one with less anxiety. So I'm sending you love and light.